Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. I'm running for the mayor of Abbotsford, win or lose. Doesn't matter to me. I'm here to show the law, bring the law in and get the RCMP in. An organized crime ring that was rigging job sites, collaborating and frauding. Henry Brown lost control, compromised everything, tried to end my life, and used his friends that were well tied for many years on the Abbotsford police. Then he used the Abbotsford police officers to start threatening to pressure me to get me out of town so I would not stand on the social media. I'm on the largest world stage because of the mission RCMP. Not a bit embarrassed, fighting for Abbotsford, my life and safety. Abbotsford top investigators and Safety Standards Act knew that its officers were not allowed to ring my house and threaten. And why they didn't start to investigate, because it would bring the RCMP in, and they were pulling favors. They figured they'd never get questioned. They had the uniform. The company could argue how vital it was. Let me tell you, Colin Watts is in a lot of trouble. And you can see him, rather than take statements and do what's right for everybody that's well-connected, high dignitaries, he figures if he runs and takes a picture with Brad Viss and dances on Alex Mitchell's lap, I'm with a politician. It makes the police force stand out. You got to stand on your own. And you got to be able to say, my guys and my company and me have had enough of this and I'm clear of it. He can't do that. Today, I'm at the old Buckerfield, or old Outer Co-op, I should say, with George Perry when he was mayor. I want to tell you, Eric Nival and Manji Sohi both ran for mayor. Nival started a podcast on what Henry was doing and what he's doing. Nival's a CPA. Manji Sohi was, I believe he was a building inspector, well-rounded person. I'm going to call upon them. I'm calling upon Suki Dami to run for council. I told you Gurpreet Rai. I told you Barty Sandhu and many other people. They both know that Dave Sidhu was Abbotsford first with Ross Siemens. They both know when Manji Sohi was the night of the debate with me at the City Auditorium, Greg Toes bribed me and wouldn't let me have a chair because he knew if I hurt Ross, Manji Sohi would got in and Henry didn't want that. They both know that Dave Sidhu's property was lifted by Ross Siemens. Manji Sohi knows for the South Asians what Dave Sidhu has done. The stuff of rigging the election, it's all proof thanks to the RCMP. Eric Nival started these podcasts. He was in our houses. He started what Henry was doing with his son at the golf courses and everything. Once he cracked that case open, it was easy for me, Abbotsford residents, to go to the Mission RCMP and not use Abbotsford police that were cleaning and sponging it for Henry to crank it open. Eric Nival and Manji Sohi know both Darren Braun was a proving officer in the city in front of Ross that damaged all them homes that Eric Nival was in, Manji Sohi was in, Gurpreet Rai was in, John Rustad was in, Rianne Gasper, many politicians. And heard all the stories. They know that the EDA of Ed's EDA, now Souks, Mangils, are a massive witness to this, the attacks and everything. I'm podcast everything that happened and every issue that takes place because the RCMP say we need to see it now. Leading investigators. But both these two people that wanted to care about this town now have to stand up and say Dave Sidhu was insider trading. He lifted his dad's land on a significant lift. The whole of Abbotsford first, which was Ross, Kelly Shahal, and Evian, then voted to make sure Dave Sidhu's property was lifted. Eric Nival should be able to tell you the fastest, being a CPA. They changed the zoning for Vitalis. They got a corporate handout. They created a conglomerate company, and they were going to call this company under the Ag Co-op and the cooperative, and they didn't own the quota. They did this with the Vanderpoels. Then they changed the zoning. They put it on ag land so they didn't have to pay commercial tax. This was all to help Dave Sidhu. It helped Dave Sidhu. But they both know what Amric Moran has done is 100% wrong against every council and every candidate that's got to run. Amric Moran was specially handpicked, and they know him as a lawyer. This is unethical and morally wrong. Amric Moran has been shadowed by Corky Neufeld, and I know these guys were helping Corky. You got to call Corky out because it's about our voters. It's about this town. Corky hanging with Mike Dion. Simon Gibson there. And I told you Gibson is Mike's best friend. He's a sitting council. It's collaborating. You're not allowed to be sitting there. You're elected city council. Mark Warkentine, another L.L.P. He paid his share to the establishment, rolled over. Mike DeYoung with Corky Neufeld, Jerry Palmer and everything. Abbotsford has been pushing me to talk and said, podcast Eric Nival, call Eric Nival out. You need the juice from Nival. You need the juice from Manji Soe. We need to make sure we get forensic audits. When we open the city books on everything, the changing of Rom-Funk zoning, putting city councils that were Abbotsford first, so Rom-Funk could win the decision over the general public. The rocks down here on the homeless weren't to get rid of the homeless. It was to help the sales office of Rom-Funk, so Rom-Funks didn't have to have people say, well, you don't want to buy it. The homeless are here. The Vaquero Ranch, everything in Abbotsford that's been done. Ross Siemens' gas station hauled to mission, the collaborating and everything. I'm running for mayor of Abbotsford, from my town. Now I'm going to see if Eric Nival and the people that said they cared about this town and ever Abbotsford stood beside all of them really care about this town, and this is the major question. Mike DeYoung will see this podcast and he'll phone Eric Nival and say, Eric, don't do it. Eric Nival was his financial agency when they put all his signs illegally and they were damaging Souk Mangel and cheating to get Mike DeYoung in. Abbotsford voters, Abbotsford grassroots people own and control the city, and this wasn't being done. We got to go, Eric Nival. You know that as a CPA, and we got to bring the RCMP in. They took advantage of Abbotsford taxpayers. They rigged the decisions to increase their portfolio. Henry Brown left the city of Abbotsford knowing that I wouldn't bow down to him and he couldn't own me. And if I kissed his ass, he would make me mayor. And I knew what Darren Brown had already said. There was no more Abbotsford police could take it and hold it down. He left the city of Abbotsford in front of many witnesses, hit and ran me in his Lexus car, fled from the scene, left me for dead. He used his top police force that he was friends with, they were friends for many years, to clean it. Then he used them at my house. Then he started to threaten me and pull me over and everything. This was an elite establishment. There was no more law and order here. The question leaves it all to Abbotsford. When these men are dying, they're not dying in the line of duty. This is all bullshit. They've been framing somebody like they were doing me. I had the help of the RCMP. I'm very grateful. If I didn't have that help, we would not know what the other outcome is. And 99% of this whole of Canada knows what that outcome is. And this is why we see reports saying officers died in the line of duty. Then the company is used to be clean. We should have had right out the get-go when Olenoff threatened at Henry's house to drop videos and lawsuits that Henry had counsel written. The Safety Standards Act of the Abbotsford Police investigate and talk to witnesses. They didn't. They were new, they were smart enough to start controlling and using them uniform. Manji Soe, Eric Nival. Abbotsford is asking you, through me, what Dave Sidhu did. He needs to be banned and kicked out and investigated, and so does Kelly Shahal, Mark Warkentine, the L.L.P., and Ross Siemens of Abbotsford First. Dave Sidhu's property, when there's 5,000 farmers, wasn't about Andy Sidhu. Andy Sidhu cheated to block candidates in the newspaper, and I've kept that thanks to the RCMP. Even Manji Soe, when he was running for mayor, he wouldn't advertise him. He only put his own name, leveraging him and his friends. Then he used UFV, which his dad was the chancellor, to threaten and block. And Manji Soe was present the night Greg Toes tried to bribe me and own me and keep me off the stage. I'm live, Abbotsford, British Columbia, Eric Nival's office.